A chilling phone call shatters the peace in Arles, a historic city in southern France. A local man finds himself on the receiving end of a terrifying demand. The person on the other end of the line claims to represent a notorious criminal organization. This group is known as the DZ Mafia, a powerful drug trafficking network based in Marseille. The message is simple and brutal: pay up or face the consequences. This is not a random act of a petty criminal. It is a calculated move by an organized gang, extending its influence beyond the drug trade and into the lives of ordinary citizens. The incident marks a disturbing escalation, showing how these criminal syndicates are seeking new ways to generate revenue. The demand is staggering. The extortionist orders the victim to pay 200,000 euros. This sum is supposedly for the purchase of 2 garages owned by the man. But this is no ordinary real estate transaction. It is a forced sale under the threat of extreme violence. On top of this massive one-time payment, the gang demands an ongoing tribute. The victim is told he must also pay 10,000 euros every single month. This tax is for the privilege of being left alone, a protection racket designed to create a steady stream of income for the gang. The figures are not arbitrary. They are designed to drain the victim's resources and establish a clear hierarchy of power. To ensure the victim understands the seriousness of the situation, the threats are explicit. The caller makes a pointed reference to a Kalashnikov rifle. This is not just a threat of violence. It is a symbol of the narco-banditry that has plagued Marseille for years. The Kalashnikov, or Kalash, is the weapon of choice for score settling and intimidation among drug gangs. Mentioning it is a clear signal that the DZ Mafia is prepared to use deadly force. It is a psychological tool meant to paralyze the victim with fear, making them believe that resistance is futile and that contacting the police would be a fatal mistake. The threat is designed to leave no room for negotiation. This case in Arles is not an isolated event. It is part of a broader, more alarming trend. Law enforcement officials believe it represents a strategic expansion by the DZ Mafia. Originating from the drug-fueled turf wars of Marseille's northern districts, the gang is now exporting its brand of terror. They are moving into extortion and racketeering in other cities across southeastern France. This shift in tactics suggests the organization is diversifying its criminal portfolio. By targeting business owners and private citizens, they are attempting to establish a new and lucrative foothold, spreading fear far beyond the traditional confines of the drug markets. The DZ Mafia is one of the 2 major criminal organizations currently dominating the drug trade in Marseille. The DZ reportedly stands for the letters of the country code for Algeria, reflecting the origins of some of its founding members. This group rose to prominence through its brutal control over lucrative drug dealing points, particularly in the city's Paternelle housing estate. They are locked in a bloody and ongoing war with a rival gang, Yoda, for supremacy. This conflict has resulted in dozens of deaths, turning parts of Marseille into war zones. Their reputation for extreme violence is their most powerful asset, a brand they now leverage for new criminal enterprises. Drug trafficking organizations like the DZ Mafia rely on violence and intimidation as fundamental business tools. In the hyper-competitive world of narcotics, control is maintained through fear. Violence is used to eliminate rivals, enforce discipline within their own ranks, and punish those who cooperate with the police. Intimidation, on the other hand, is a more efficient tool. By building a reputation for ruthlessness, as the DZ Mafia has done, they can often achieve their goals without firing a single shot. The mere mention of their name, or the Kalashnikov, is enough to ensure compliance. This strategy minimizes risk while maximizing profit, making it a core part of their operational playbook. Extortion represents a logical next step for a group like the DZ Mafia. It allows them to capitalize on the fear they have already cultivated through the drug trade. Targeting individuals or businesses outside their usual criminal circles opens up new revenue streams that are less risky than drug trafficking. Unlike drug deals, which require complex logistics for supply and distribution, extortion only requires a credible threat. The victim in Arles was not chosen at random. Criminals often gather intelligence on their targets, identifying those with assets who might be vulnerable and less likely to go to the authorities. It is a cold, calculated business decision. The money demanded in the Arles case, 200,000 euros plus a 10,000 euro monthly fee, serves multiple purposes for the gang. Primarily, it funds their core operations, buying weapons, paying foot soldiers, and financing drug shipments. This income is essential for sustaining their war against rival factions and maintaining their power structure. Secondly, it serves as a powerful demonstration of their dominance in a new territory. Successfully extorting a large sum sends a clear message to the entire community and to other potential victims. It establishes their rule and warns everyone that they are now in control, making future extortion attempts even easier. When a case like the Arles extortion attempt is reported, French law enforcement immediately launches a specialized investigation. The initial report is handled by local police, but it is quickly escalated to units that specialize in organized crime. In this instance, the investigation was handed over to the police judiciaire, the Criminal Investigation Department. These investigators are trained to handle complex cases involving criminal networks, extortion, and serious threats. Their first priority is to secure the safety of the victim, who is now at significant risk for having contacted the authorities. This often involves discreet surveillance and offering protection measures. Investigators employ a range of techniques to dismantle these criminal networks. They start by analyzing the evidence at hand, such as the phone number used to make the threat and the specific details of the demands. They will likely seek court-authorized wiretaps to monitor communications between suspected gang members. Financial investigation units are also brought in to follow the money. These experts trace financial flows, looking for money laundering schemes and assets that can be linked to the DZ Mafia's leadership. The goal is not just to arrest the low-level extortionist, but to build a case that can take down the entire command structure of the organization. Combating gangs like the DZ Mafia is a long and difficult process. These organizations are structured like paramilitary groups, with clear hierarchies and strict codes of silence. Members are often fiercely loyal or too terrified to cooperate with the police. Infiltrating these groups is extremely dangerous and requires highly skilled undercover agents. Furthermore, the gangs are adept at using modern technology, such as encrypted messaging apps, to communicate, making it harder for police to intercept their plans. This creates a constant cat-and-mouse game where law enforcement must continually adapt its methods to keep pace with the criminals. Despite these challenges, police have had successes. High-profile arrests of key figures in Marseille's drug gangs, including some linked to the DZ Mafia, have periodically disrupted their operations. These arrests are often the result of months or even years of painstaking investigative work. Each arrest sends a signal that these gangs are not untouchable. However, the structure of these networks is resilient. When one leader is arrested, another is often ready to take their place. This reality means that police action, while crucial, is only one part of the solution to dismantling these powerful criminal enterprises for good. The impact of such brazen extortion attempts on victims is profound and multifaceted. The immediate effect is intense psychological trauma. Victims live in a state of constant fear for their own safety and that of their families. This terror can lead to severe anxiety, depression, and a feeling of complete helplessness. Beyond the emotional toll, there is the devastating financial impact. Demands for hundreds of thousands of euros can bankrupt individuals and destroy businesses that have been built over a lifetime. Many victims are trapped in a terrible dilemma: pay and face financial ruin, or refuse and risk violent retaliation. The choice is impossible. This fear does not remain confined to the direct victim. It spreads like a virus throughout the local community. When people hear that a notorious gang like the DZ Mafia is operating in their town, a collective sense of insecurity takes hold. Business owners start looking over their shoulders, wondering if they will be the next target. Residents become more fearful and less trusting. This climate of fear can erode the social fabric of a town like Arles, damaging its economy as businesses may choose to relocate. It silences the community as people become too afraid to speak to the police, hindering investigations and allowing the gangs to operate with greater impunity. In response to this growing threat, French authorities are intensifying their efforts to fight organized crime. This involves more than just reactive police investigations. The government has announced plans to deploy additional police forces and specialized anti-gang units to hotspots like Marseille and surrounding areas. There is also a focus on a strategy known as pilonnage, or pounding, which involves constant police raids on drug-dealing spots to disrupt the gang's primary source of income. The goal is to harass the networks relentlessly, making it impossible for them to operate freely and cutting off the cash flow that fuels their power. Ultimately, tackling the root causes of gang activity is essential for a long-term solution. This requires a broader approach that combines law enforcement with social and economic initiatives. Authorities are working on programs aimed at preventing young people in disadvantaged neighborhoods from being drawn into crime in the first place. These efforts include improving educational opportunities, creating jobs, and funding community outreach programs. By addressing the underlying issues of poverty and lack of opportunity that allow gangs like the DZ Mafia to thrive, authorities hope to break the cycle of violence and restore a sense of safety and security to affected communities across France.